There is a new push to lower the drinking age from 21 to 18. It's led by a group called the Amethyst Initiative. It's made up of about 100 college presidents who believe the current drinking age encourages binge drinking among students. We asked a few students how they feel about this.
I think an 18-year-old should be responsible enough to know, to know their limit.
Whether the drinking age is 18 or 21, I don't think it really matters, because if people are going to abuse alcohol, they're going to do it regardless of the law.
Joining us from Burlington, Vermont is Dr. John McArdle, founder of the Amethyst Initiative and the former president of Middlebury College. In Washington is Laura Dean Mooney, president of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Dr. McArdle, as somebody who sits on a board of a small college, I know about the problems of binge drinking. Is this what this is? This stimulated at least the origins of this conversation?
Indeed it did. And in fact, the presidential statement does not call for a change in the drinking age. The presidential statement simply says that based on our own experience and 24 years of this law on the books, we believe there's evidence to show that 21 is not working, that it has had unintended consequences, and that it is well past time to open public debate about all of the effects of this law on our campuses and elsewhere.
Laura Dean Mooney, as you heard about this yesterday and heard about the initiative and the idea about opening up this conversation, what was your response?
Well, I was certainly alarmed, and we certainly feel like this is an irresponsible part on the small minority group of 100 university presidents out of 3,500 across the country who signed on to an initiative, perhaps misguided, perhaps they were misled even, but we know that the 21 minimum drinking age law does work. There's 49 highly peer-reviewed scientific studies to back the fact that the law does work. It saved over 1,000 young people's lives every year for the last 24 years. Why would we go backwards? We tried this in the 70s. We tried it in the 80s. It simply did not work then. Alcohol-related fatalities went up in that age group population. High school principals don't want this problem passed down to them from college presidents who are being irresponsible. Right.
Now, you heard, Dr. McArdle, you just heard what Laura Dean said. They feel like it's you're abdicating some responsibility here.
College presidents do a remarkable job in enforcing the law. The irony is that the more successful they are in enforcing it, the more they drive the behavior beyond their sight and beyond their authority, and binge drinking occurs. We also need to keep in mind that alcohol-related traffic fatalities reached a 10-year high in 2006. They've been going up in the last 10 years. We also need to keep in mind that peer-reviewed research shows that more than 1,000 lives of 18 to 24-year-olds are lost each year off the highways to alcohol. The evidence is not all on one side of this debate, and we need to consider all of those data and consider whether 21 is in fact serving us well.
Now, Laura Dean Mooney, let me ask you this, because part of the other larger conversation here is this idea of making driver's license unavailable to kids until they're 18, because people realize that young people really are not perhaps responsible enough to drive cars, and lowering the drinking age to 18. Does any of that jive with you?
Well, we know that people continue to drive. For instance, after a drunk driving conviction, they'll simply drive without their license. Up to 75% of convicted drunk drivers continue to drive. Why would we think that 18-year-olds would drive or not drive? You know, it's not the solution. The solution that MAD, the American Medical Association, the National Transportation Safety Board, Governor's Highway Safety Association, lots of important and highly thought of groups stand with MAD on this to say 21 works. There's no movement on the Hill to change this idea.
Dr. McArdle, very quickly, in the end, it really is about the federal government. Do you think you can get a conversation started with Congress?
The current law says that any state that considers changing its drinking age faces a 10% penalty in its highway funds. That penalty needs to go. If the other side is correct that the public supports 21, it has nothing to fear. Removing that 10% incentive is the surest way to resume the debate that needs to take place.
A lot of conversations going on in a lot of living rooms around the country in the last 24 hours. Dr. John McArdle, thank you. Laura Dean Mooney, thank you as well. Do appreciate it.
Thank you.
For a close-up look at substance abuse in America, visit our website at earlyshow.cbsnews.com.